Alright, boys and girls, here we are at Bob's Barn Workshop again. You have seen me do a lot of different work on this Traverse's hubs and brakes recently. So today I'm going to do the condensed version of how to replace. This is a 2013 Chevy Traverse all-wheel drive. All the bearings on all four wheels are the same, and this is a Moog model number. It says RB 513277. 513277. Don't buy cheap, no-name bearings. Timken, Moog, AC Delco originals. So I'm going to do the condensed version on how to change this bearing hub, because you don't want to see every step. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do it off camera, and we'll just step through it because we'll get it done. We have no rear brakes to worry about with this, so it should come off fast. Alright, let's get her done. Step number one would be to chock the rear wheels and jack up the car, put it on a jack stand safely, and remove the front wheel with your impact or lug wrench. Now that I've gotten the wheel off, which the lug nuts come off with a 22mm socket, I'm going to remove the two bolts that secure the whole caliper and caliper bracket to the spindle, because I'm not doing anything with the brakes. I recently did the brakes. I'm going to hit these with just a little PB blaster. And I'm going to be removing those two. Again, 21mm. So there you go. I've just wired it up out of the way. I'm going to turn the wheel back straight. And the next step would be to take the spindle nut off. I have a 35mm socket for this nut. I think it actually might be a 34. This fits a little loosely, but it'll be fine. Alright. And the spindle is loose. Now that we have the spindle nut out, we have to remove the T30 set screw that holds the rotor onto the backing, onto the front of the bearing hub. I usually anti-sieze this and just put it in gently, because it really only holds the rotor in place, the brake disc, while you're assembling. I don't think it does much structural work. Alright, of course I anti-sieze the crap out of that. We'll just set this aside someplace to stay clean. So, now we need to get the three large bolts which hold the spindle in, and those are actually quite small heads. Let me go find the right size bolt for those. Holy cow, it's a 13. Seems awfully small, but that would be it. Okay, so there's my 1/2-inch drive 13. Now I think what I'm going to do is, I think if I turn this, I can get my impact up in there with a short extension. So I'm going to turn it again. I'm hitting the exposed tips of the bolts out here with blaster. And I'm going to hit the backs. I can't believe how small the heads on those are. And put the beast on there. One spindle bolt out. I'm going to do the same on the others, but it looks like I'm going to have to use a long extension on this one. And this one I might be able to get. Let me turn it. All right, 3 big bolts out. Now, because this flange is exposed, I'm just going to try the old tacker picker. But remember my old way? I'm going to do that. So I've straightened the wheel back out. I've hooked the pipe wrench on the top. Move the tools out of the way. Oh yeah, she's coming. Maybe one more. All right, well, I just gave her a few more whacks on the flange and she finally dropped out. I need to straighten that out a little bit. I think I've taken the rear dust shield backing plate into the barn, sandblasted it, cleaned it with lacquer thinner, sprayed it a nice thick coat of industrial strength Rust-Oleum black. But I have to wait for that to dry. So I think, all right, well, I messed around with that enough. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I'm just going to be careful around it. So pretty smooth. Watch out very carefully for that sensor. I couldn't get it out, so I didn't want to break it trying. So okay, that guy's nice and clean all the way around. I'm going to get my anti-sieze and I'm going to coat this. And this thing had that spacer on there. So I guess I'm going to put it back on. I don't know what the shim was for, but it's some kind of shim. And it was on the end of the spindle. Right here. There, I'm going to leave him there. Now I'm going to go get the anti-sieze, and I'm going to anti-sieze that hole, and then do it this way. Start. Sorry, I kind of got to get you out of the way here. This has got a little bit of a crinkle in it, but it'll come out when There you go, that's the hard part. Now I usually just put these big nuts on. To 100. I think I've seen like 103, 106. With this upset bolt, now I'm not going to tighten it with this. I'm just going to run it down close. I need to get a different socket, I guess. I'm going to do 103, just like I've seen in the past. All right. And it's not over torqued. All right. Next up, we need to put the brake rotor back on. Don't forget the brake rotor. Try to keep your brake rotor clean. Check both sides for any dirt we may have gotten on there. She looks good. I mean, not a line. Gotta line your hole in your rotor up with the hub. Right. This guy's in the way a little bit. And I'm going to anti-sieze just around the base of this, not all over the flange, because we don't want it to take up any actual space. And don't put anti-sieze on your lug nuts. I've been admonished for doing that, so I'm just handling it by the edges. And then your little Torx 30. Goes back in the hole. Oh, it's in the hole. Is there a Torx spec? Oh, probably, but just snug, guys. It's just there to hold that rotor while you mess with the rest of it, I think. Alright, don't kill yourself. Now, back on. Alright. These are already anti-siezed to heck and back, so I'm just top one is started. Now these were the 21 millimeters, I believe. And there's probably a hell of a torque spec on these. I'm happy with that. Don't go by those specs, they could be wrong. But we're done. I'm gonna straighten this back out, put the tire on, maybe we'll go for a little ride. But okay. I mean, the front's pretty easy. Take the wheel, jack it up safely. I left the jack under there, but I also have a jack stand. The wheels are chocked. Just to review what I did. Took out the 21 millimeter caliper bolts. Pried the caliper so that there was room. Hung the caliper up. Took out the 30 Torx bolt that secures the brake rotor onto the hub itself. Remove that. Take the big 30, I think it's a 34 millimeter nut. I had a 35 socket, it worked fine, off the center of the drive shaft. Then from the back, by turning the spindle back and forth around with a 13 millimeter socket, you remove the 3 long bolts that hold the base of the hub. And then through whatever means you have possible, you get the hub off. I've seen guys actually take, thanks Eric, from South Main Auto in down near Bath. What the hell's the name of the town? Anyway, Avoca. You can drive out one of these bolts and then get another bolt and nut and put it between there and then expand them with a wrench, and you can drive this hub out by swapping it back and forth and pushing it off. You can put a pipe wrench on the top of it like I did, and that did loosen it. That came out 1/8 of an inch or so. And then I just ended up, because I can get to it, I beat on the flange and it came off. And then basically everything else is the reverse. You just clean the hub surfaces inside like I did with my wire brush, and the hub went right back in like a dream. I anti-sieze that area in case we ever have to pull one of these again. Torque those to 74. I did 75. 74 foot-pounds is the spec. I cleaned, sandblasted, lacquer thinnered, and painted my backing plate so that my backing plate won't rust out for a long time, because they're just a pain to have to change them when you do a brake job and all of a sudden your backing plate's rotted out. So I painted that up. Put the hub back in, as I said. Rotors back on, put the 30 Torx back on, put the 21 millimeters back on at 100 foot-pounds, 103 I think I did. It may be more, but I'm sure that's plenty, because back in the day, did anybody ever torque wrench those? You just put them on freaking tight. So they're freaking tight. So now we're done. I'm going to put the wheel back on and we'll go for a test drive. For those of you, few, who may never have seen one of these, this is a torque rod. It's a 100 foot-pound torque rod, and it's really bizarre how it works. I don't know why it works, but it works. Well, I'm going to just buzz these in lightly so they center first. Alright, so all you do is just hammer it until it stops rotating. Done. Done. These are bizarre. These are crappy lug nuts, by the way. Done. Did I do them all? Alright. I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to let her off the jacks and I'll clean up the tools and then we'll go for the test ride. Alright, here we are. Wheel hub is on. 213 Traverse. 2013 I should say. Just a quick little test drive. Skinnerd might start trying to play here. I got my Skinnerd tape because I've been watching Skinnerd every summer here that I can. Alright, well, my face might be dirty, I don't know. But in the distance you can see the giant solar field they're putting up out there by my house. Yay. Whatever. At least it'll be quieter than a new development of houses, won't it? And screaming kids and barking dogs. So, parking brake. Oh, I got a brick behind the wheel. That's all right. I'll just go over it. It looked like my tire was getting a little worn on the side. I think I'm going to have to rotate these pretty soon here. Usually we get them rotated when we get the oil changed, though. We were getting, you could hear the noise of that bad bearing, so I'm going to turn the fan, oops, turn the fan off. And she seems fine. I don't see any issues with my job. I did everything the way you should. I'm going to turn the air conditioning back on here so I can feel it. this is just going to be a short ride up to the turnaround here at the dead end, and I'm going to go back home and get cleaned up, have lunch. It's late, but I ate breakfast late. And yeah, I don't hear anything. She's great. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm going to edit out a lot of the actual wrench turning because I'm just going to go through the steps and make this like hopefully a 10 or a 15 minute video. I like to talk to you guys, and I hope you find it entertaining that I do a little wrenching and a little chatting rather than just a total tutorial of here, turn the wrench this way, turn the wrench that way, use this torque, take these bolts out, and never show what you're actually doing. Just skip all the work. I like to show the real work that it takes to get a job like this done. I don't sugarcoat anything. I make the job real. And every little sling and arrow that I run into, any little problems I might run into with the project. So, you saw me work on the Corolla last week. I'm waiting on the new fender liners for it, and hopefully they will be in a couple of days. And then let's see what else is missing. Of course, he needs tires and he needs exhaust. Well, I searched for a non-California catalytic converter, and it's like 110 bucks, and the rest of the exhaust system in stainless is like a little over 200. So that's not too bad. 300 bucks, 350. Tires, he can spend as much as he wants or as little as he wants. He can spend $600 or he can spend $300. It all depends on what he thinks he's got to have. Other than the wheel fender liners that I got coming, I got the turn signal switch to change it to an actual turn signal switch that has the rotating switch for the fog lights in it, because we put new fog lights in it, so hopefully we can get them to work. And then there's just a little plastic grommet for the hot rod that I lost. So guys, I appreciate you sticking with me. I'm going to start gluing up cabinet doors because it's March now, and in April we're going to go to the lake and put the doors on the cabinets up there. So we've got to get those glued up, cut the shape, sanded, finished, and all that work done. So I hope you stick around. Life's an adventure, ain't it? It's better than sitting on your butt doing nothing all day. Might as well get some work done. All right, guys. God bless. Take care. We'll see you next time.